Hello? Hey guys, can you hear me well? Alright. So, my name is Vlad. I'm a managing partner at DCWroc. That's a company I will tell you a bit more in a minute. Today I'm going to tell you about effective planning and delivery with Agile. But before I start, I would like to know my audience, so I would like to ask you how many of you work with Agile right now? Okay, not too many. The rest of you are fixed price, right? Mostly. Okay. How many of you work in teams that are less than 15 people? Okay. And then everyone else in bigger companies, right? What do you use mostly in bigger companies for doing your projects? It depends, okay. So sometimes it's Agile, sometimes it's fixed price. Okay. So one more important question. How many of you are familiar with Agile as a methodology to develop software? Okay, so pretty much at least a good half of you. All right. So I'll tell you a bit about us. We're a small team of 12 people. We're mostly self-managed, so we don't have formal management people working for us. We try to do it ourselves. As we're pretty small, like the top sentence, as you see, that's our aim is building meaningful web products. That's something we are trying to do as a team. That's why we gathered as a team and trying to develop that direction. Most of us sit in Ukraine, in Lviv, but then we have people in Germany, in Berlin. So we try to become an international team, and we work mostly in office, but then we do a lot of remote work, and all our clients are from Western Europe, so we never even did a project for Ukrainian market. That's why it's very important for us to have good processes for remote work, and that's something I will be telling you about in this presentation. As I told you, we are a small team, and when we first started, we were 4 people. We tried to get any project we could possibly get. I think you all know that situation when you only start, you don't have a portfolio, you don't have nothing, you just have a big desire to make something great, to enjoy your work and to do great things. And then we were picking on any project we could possibly get, and as you might guess, that would almost always be a fixed price project. That's because clients want to get, they want to pay you some sum of money, and then they want to get their product. But as many of you might have already guessed, working fixed price in software development is a pretty hard task to do, and especially when you work in small teams. Those people who work in teams that are less than 15, they will know that it's always lack of resources, it's always infinite acceptance phase. I mean, the client always accepts work for many weeks, if not months. Also, it slows down you as a company because you have a slower cash flow, because you only get your money paid when you do everything, and in software development, everything comes almost never. And also you have deteriorated client relationship in the very end, because you have to do a lot of back and forth talking with the client, you have to stand for your point while clients always have their point, and it's completely understandable. So at some point we decided that we stop working with fixed price projects for good. We tried to go Agile. Back then, that was 3 years ago, it was a big boom in the software development world, when everyone said Agile is a cure for everything. You just start working Agile and it's all boom, it's all perfect. You get projects done, you get your money, you don't have that hurdle with clients, and it works just great. When we started, we didn't know it wasn't that way. So that's why we thought about Agile as of magic, but then we figure out it's not a magic. So you just change the problems that you have to solve if you go from fixed price to Agile. So in fixed price, you have to deliver on deadline, you have to negotiate the budget, you have to find the resources, and you have to manage them well to keep it all together on a specific date, and then you have to also talk to the client and explain them all the time that no change can be made, or if there's a change, you have to negotiate your deadlines over and over again, your budget over and over again. So it's a lot of pain and management that we just couldn't take as a small team. That's why we decided that Agile would be better for us as a small team, but we had to change our problems and solve them. So that would be earning trust. I think those who work in Agile know that trust is the main component of being able to do so, to be able to work with your clients. Also, we had to learn how to drive value into clients' business, because Agile is all about it. You have to constantly deliver and add up value, not only code. And the rest would be delivered in high pace, because in fixed price you can pretty much, you know your deadline, and then you choose your pace. Usually that's the last week that you really work hard with no sleep. In Agile, you have to keep your pace constant, because you always have the promise, you have the short deadline, so like the iterations, they are a lot shorter, and you have to be successful with Agile, you have to always deliver on a high pace. And in order to do that, we try to figure out what are we missing. It wasn't easy for us to, I'm sorry, that's the wrong slide, yeah. It wasn't easy for us to do Agile development. Like, we were failing deadlines, clients weren't happy, clients didn't want to pay, I wouldn't pay either, because like, if you didn't deliver, why would I pay? So basically we had the same problems we had with fixed price, except for the excuse that someone could make that, sorry, it's Agile. It doesn't work that way. We figured it out after 1 month of working, so Agile is not a cure, it's just a set of recommendations. And then we tried to change something. And we tried to figure out what have we do to be successful with it. And those are 4 points we came to. We had to learn how to take a lead on the development process. We had to understand clients' business well. That's something that you don't have to do in fixed price usually to be very successful. Then we had to learn plan effectively. That was the hardest part, I guess. And deliver fast and regularly. Once you plan good, you can deliver fast and regularly. That's why I will be telling about planning in this presentation a bit more than about anything else. But also, we knew we had to change. We knew we had to change, and we knew we had to take care of everything in our team in order to rebuild it. So we started with 4 main points. That would be philosophy, people, process, and tools. And I will stop on each and every one. And we'll give you some recommendations. After this presentation, you can ask why we did so, but not a different way, because every line here has, I can tell 1,000 words about it, but I try to be short and just stop on planning and processes, while philosophy, people, is less highlighted in this presentation. So, I'll start with philosophy. Those 5 points we came to. We figured out early that we have to deliver value, not code. Someone would ask, what is value? And my answer would be that's when you know better than the client what drives their business success and what should you deliver first. So it's mostly art of prioritization and also delivering it at the right time and at the right quality. Never sacrifice internal quality. That is our aim. That's our aim in doing our development, because when we work with fixed price, it was always hard to keep up to that one point, because you always had a rigid deadline, you always had a budget, and you had to decide whether you work for free or you negotiated somehow with a client, but usually clients would refuse to extend something, so they would just ask it to work, and then you always don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, and you just make it work, and that's where internal quality suffers. So we decided we will not do it anymore. And one thing that arose from it, we decided that you have to think a lot before you do, and also you have to stick to your deadlines in Agile in order to earn your trust, and be responsible for what you do. That's again to take a lead of development, take a lead of what you are doing, and be responsible for all the results that you deliver or you don't deliver. The second thing would be people. We figure out that for a smaller team, it would be impossible to have guys that are not having the stack. What I call the stack is that sometimes you meet people that are good programmers, they are great programmers, but they wouldn't tell a word to the client. They just can't negotiate. They can't explain themselves. They can't explain why are they taking this direction but not this direction. They can't explain their recommendations, and then you again sacrifice the quality, because many people don't like arguing, they just tell what they are told to, and that's it. So that was something that we couldn't live up with, and that's why we started looking for people with the right level of technical skill, communication skill, who would be proactive and committed and responsible for what they do. So sometimes we can sacrifice our we can take a guy who is worse in programming, but he has all other three components, and that would give us a great boost. I can tell you that from experience. And the process. The process, that's the interesting part. So the main thing we figured out was fixed price and Agile, that it doesn't matter how you work, it matters how do you get there. So the process, if I took a comparison of a train and a boat, fixed price would be more like of a train. So you put your rails, you drive a train, and you can never go left or right. You don't have that much room for change, you don't have that much room for flexibility, and as all of you might have experienced in software development, flexibility is very, very important, because there's always changing, like market is always changing, client is always changing requirements, and it's a lot more logical to be as a boat when you can navigate, you know, your aim, and then you can go from one point to a different point, but you get to that point and you get all the changes, and the process is everything in between A and B. And I can tell you one thing, Agile will not help you. That's something we learned the hard way. Agile will not help you to build the process. It's just a set of recommendations. It tells you don't go on a red light. It tells you don't drive too fast, if to take it in projection as of a car, but it will not teach you to write. You have to teach it yourself. So that's why we were experimenting with many different approaches, the different techniques, and we found out something that works for us, and that's something I want to share with you, because maybe for some of you it will work too. So, I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of presentations, I attended a lot of meetings, and then we came up to the model. It's not our model, but it's borrowed from different presentations, books. So that's the way that we are trying to work. We divide our development into 4 stages. So that would be the think it phase, the build it, ship it, and tweak it. And it goes circular all the way around. Every time you work on something, it would follow all 4 steps. And if you ask me which one of those is most important, for starting a project, that's basically think it. That's the phase that a lot of teams underestimate. They don't put enough work into it. But as the researchers show, the think it phase is the cheapest one. So it's cheapest for not only for the client, it's cheapest for yourself, because you don't dedicate too many resources for it. You dedicate your time, and then, as you can see on the graph, the statistics show that think it is a lot cheaper than, for example, already the build it phase. The statistics, it wasn't combined by me. It was combined by, if you know the company Spotify, right? And Henry Kneiberg, maybe some of you read his books. So they're a really cool company. They're located in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a process we borrowed from them, and I can tell you we have had experienced a great boost in our resource management, our cost management, and our approach to building the project from scratch or taking over the other project. In Think It phase, a lot of teams also don't use prototyping. That's something that we now try to be using a lot, and it also helps a lot. If you take planning, then prototyping is that golden, how do you call it? It's a diamond between the rocks. Like for us, it was like that because we have learned so many mistakes in advance already before starting doing anything. And I have shown right here the screenshot from the tool we are using. It's Pidoco, it's a German tool, it's great, I can recommend it to anyone. I'm not trying to sell, I'm just recommending. And also approaches that we take is very important, and if anyone, I will not stop here for too long, but if anyone of you is interested in how to get prototyping into your working routine, you can ask me after this session. I'll try to explain how we did it. So.
Yeah, but this is the service, yeah? This is not a product to make mockup, but this is the service, yeah? In the cloud?
It's a service to making mockups, like the Pidoco is just a screenshot. I mean, but also you can choose a tool that you like. You can draw it by hand. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but I'm showing just a tool that we're using. It's not trying to sell it, just for the visionary purposes. Yeah, and the most important thing is how you do the prototyping. That's the most important part about it, because a lot of teams, they ask, for example, UX designer to draw something. He draws something. He shows it to client. Client likes it. Client approves it. Then he goes to development team, and development team says, no way, we can't do that. So it used to work for us like that as well, but it was learned the hard way. That we have to involve the development team, we have to involve the client, we have to the product owner, and then we have to involve the client. So those are three different stages of it. Now we get to the build it phase. So that's the interesting part. For those of you who work with Agile, who work with Scrum and Kanban. Okay, not too many of you who know what is it at all. Like, okay, everyone does. Pretty much everyone does. Then I will not stop here for too long, but I will tell you the recommendations that worked for us. So we work with 2 or 3 week sprints. We do daily stand-ups. We always have a product ownership role and a Scrum Master role, and we try to do demos and retrospectives. It's not always possible, but that's something that gives you a good boost into your planning routines. That's something I can tell you. Also, we take a lot of time for proper planning, and I'll show you how we do that. And we try to improve with each iteration. So those are a set of recommendations that I would advise to anyone who's trying to set up the Agile process to be effective within their organization. So planning is the most important thing in Agile, I would say so. Like the sprint plannings is the most important routine if you want to work successfully with it. And I would, before proceeding, I would ask you who is not satisfied with planning, or who does have many questions to how you do planning in Agile. Please raise your hand, so I know specifically. So you all know, right? And it works well for you, and you never fail deadlines. Sometimes it's okay, but you wanna not to fail deadlines at all, right? So I will show you how we try doing that.
If you have good team, you don't have.
What's that?
I said, when you have good team, you don't need to worry about that.
That's true, but still, you have to learn your team to work together. You can have a set of great individuals, but if everyone does their thing and in different way, then you just wouldn't stick together.
That's why I said sometimes.
Yeah. So we are trying to have a good team, but something I understand that we also have to have that process for the team to be working together and better. And we spent a lot of months trying to bring our planning to a better standard. We were doing all sets of recommendations from doing the stickers on the wall, prioritizing our backlog in many ways, trying to involve the client, prioritizing backlog and stuff like that, but we always face many problems. For example, in Agile, you have to know your client's business. You have to take a lead of the development, because if you let the client take a lead of the development, you will end up with a shitty product or non-working product. Or you will never have it at all, right? Because clients, at least in our case, they are not programming gurus. They are mostly business people who want to build the business, right? And they hire us as a team that would help them to do that. But sometimes they don't realize that we have to take decisions. They have to give us that responsibility to take decisions in the technical field. But also, for us, it's very important not to build a perfect product. The aim for us is to build the product that would be perfect for a specific business. I mean, it doesn't have to be technically perfect. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, right? Because if you have, for example, I don't know, a Christmas fair, and you have to get the website on a specific date, like if you build it 1 week after the Christmas and it's perfect, it doesn't make sense, right? So you always have to think about business. And that's why we try to improve our planning and bring that business component into planning our sprints. So we have two levels of prioritization. For those of you who work with backlogs a lot, you might have noticed the tendency that sometimes the product owner doesn't do a great job because he doesn't prioritize, but also sometimes he doesn't understand how to prioritize it. He just puts, if you ask him what's important, he would tell you everything is important. Like, are you kidding me? Okay, so what do you want to get done in the next 2 weeks? And he would tell you, like, everything. I want to get done everything. Like, is it possible? No, it's not possible, sorry. And that's why we ask clients to put the most important stuff on top, but also we help them to do that, because sometimes they don't quite realize that system for, I don't know, system with user accounts it's important to have user accounts first, not a good design, for example. I don't know. So we try to help them doing that. So the first level of prioritization, you put everything important on the very top and the least important on the very bottom. Then, when we plan our sprints, we use Moscow technique. Who of you heard of it? Have you used it?
No, yeah.
Okay, so we are extensively trying to use it. And that's the second level of prioritization. And it goes inside the sprint. So how we do that? We know that we have, for example, a 2-week sprint, right? Then we know that we have 100 hours of development. And we ask our client, that's where the business component comes in, please tell us what is must in these 2 weeks, what is should in this week, what is good and what is won't. And we help, like we give him the manual, the grade of importance, so he can make his mind. Usually clients would tell everything is must, but then you try to force them to prioritize that chunk of work into those 4 categories, and usually it works really well. But there's also one thing. It has to go in these proportions. So it's 60, 20, 20. 60 goes for must, 20 goes for should, and 20 goes for good cases. Won't cases we just don't take into the sprint at this point. I have to clarify the dependency between must and priority in the backlog. So the Moscow technique, it's used only within the sprint. So if this sprint something is good, this doesn't mean that the next sprint it can be must. It may be must. Even if something is won't for this sprint, it can be must in the next sprint. So, and that's how we try to plan our development. Also, I don't know, but we had a lot of troubles when we tried to deal with new features within the sprint, when we try to deal with new bugs, when we try to deal with change requests. And that's why we came up with this model when we would tell our client that we deliver, we take this code 100%, and then we say that there's no way we are going to deliver less than 60% of it. So that's a worst case. There's no way we are delivering. If we are delivering less, you don't pay money for it or something. Yeah. Then there's should 20%. That's something 60 plus 20. That's something that we say we are delivering on a normal day, on a normal sprint. So we know our velocity, and we are pretty certain we can deliver that. If we deliver a bit less or a bit more, that's no problem, of course. And we also take 20% of goods. Those are tasks that if we complete them, that's just a perfect case. And for myself, as a project manager, I would give my team a bonus for delivering that work. And also you would ask me what stands in the way of a team to extend their deadlines and I don't know, put higher numbers on estimates. And the answer is nothing. But as you work with your team closely and you know their velocity and you have a good leadership on the project, you can take that problem out. And usually that's how you also maintain a high delivery with each sprint. That's how you keep the pace high. And also the client, that's very important because he's psychologically ready that you will deliver 80%, not 100%. And this is something very important in software development because, as you know, there's always something that you learn along the way and you have to spend a lot more time on it. Yeah. So if yeah.
I have a question. You are taking to the sprint out 100%,
yeah.
And you are taking only 60%, and after that you add some tasks to the sprint.
Yeah, so you take 100%. It doesn't work.
Must wait. If you sorry, I disturb you, but
No, it's fine. Okay, I'll be without it. Yeah, this one works. Okay. So you take 100%. You take 100% and you promise the client that you pretty much deliver 80% in a normal sprint, but if you experience troubles, then you will not deliver less than 60%. If you finish with musts, then you go to shoulds, and then you go to coulds. If you have delivered everything 100% and you have still more time, then you just put more tasks from the top of the backlog. That's how you know what to work on. If you want to continue, you just continue and you never stop because your backlog is already prioritized from the very important to the less important. So you just go into the backlog and drag from the very top and continue working. And in that case, that means that either your team is really good or it just made wrong estimates a bit and something was a lot easier than you expected. But usually it works the other way. So you sometimes underestimate something and then you spend a lot of work. And this scheme gives you a margin for error, those 20% that are well ahead negotiated with the client, and he's psychologically ready and he knows that you will be working hard to deliver everything, but also he knows that software development is sometimes unpredictable. That's why it works for us well. Yeah, and then you go into, once you've done the sprint planning, you do the building. So very important point here I want to point out, I will not stop for long, but you have to have a good leadership on the project. There always has to be a team lead, at least it works for us that way. That would ensure the team is delivering and that would take care of team having the right pace and would communicate to clients any problems that you might have experienced. But also when you go to tweak it phase, that's when you have already finished the sprint. You have to learn how to get feedback from the client fast. You have to learn how to deal with new features that are trying to come into the sprint, and you have to learn how to deal with bugs. And of course, all of this, if you learn those three first, you will minimize the acceptance phase. And why is that important is because you can plan effectively, you can plan fast, you can plan ahead, and you can generate the cash flow. So it's a lot better for smaller teams. I'm not talking about big companies because the mechanism is slightly different there. And I will tell you a bit more about the tools we use to ensure that you get the essence of what we do. So the Jira is bug tracking for us. Then we have Confluence as a project documentation wiki. And then we have a test rail for driving the QA process. I will show you like some screenshots from how we do it in Jira. So if you take a look here, you can see that our sprint is prioritized by with Moscow technique already. So codes would go underneath, but the screenshot is not that big. Then that's how our sprint looks like. So within Jira, we have divided our process into those stages. When you have to ensure QA process, it was a big challenge for us because we tried to figure out how should QA work with Agile, and sometimes it just doesn't stick together. But then there are different approaches. That's something that works for us. I will give you that presentation to all of you, and if you have any questions, you will email me afterwards because we're short of time, from what I understand. And that's how it looks a big project with everything and set up. So that's how you do it that's how we do it with big projects. And once you have 5 or 6 people working on a project, that's usually a lot of management, but that's how we learn to be self-managed and deliver. Also, we found out that it's important to have a knowledge base. Like we use all kinds of different tools from Google Drive to Dropbox, but we came up with Confluence. It works just well for us. So we try to write our documentation as we go, so it's just enough for testers to test, developers to develop, and clients to approve. So those are 3 rules we use. And the last one is TestRail. That's a pretty good tool for testing, for doing your, for writing your test plan, test cases, and then reporting to the client with the progress. So it brings a lot of structure in your work with Agile. And the results, of course. So the results of implementing this infrastructure for us was we now have less management overhead because we dedicate those 2 tools we use. I mean, they take care of many things automatically because we have that process set up. Then we can plan our budget more effectively with the client because he always knows what he pays for in advance, at least for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Once you start delivering and keeping up to your deadlines, you build the trust with clients, and once you build the trust with client, it's a lot easier for you to work with them. And of course, the cash flow loop is a lot shorter, which is very important for freelancers, for small companies, because you always have to drive funds into your company. So that's something we have achieved with implementing more structured agile planning. So that's pretty much it. Thank you. That's references. I will give you a link to the presentation to all of you, so you can take a look at it and then read the supporting materials, because I've tried to be very short on the high level. So thank you. It's time for questions. Do we have? No?
Yes. Now will be time for questions, but we don't have another microphone.
Okay. I can give microphone to the audience and I'll ask for like. So anyone, if you have questions, please ask. Yep.
Okay, so I have a question about the process, and part of process is creation of stories, and how you create story. What ideal perfect story looks for you? So does it only include the requirements from a client, or maybe you add scenarios, something else?
That's a good question. There's no perfect scenario for us because it depends on the client. Some clients are more technical. Some clients have no clue about the business at all. That's why we try to have the product owner that would make sure that the story contains enough information for a team. Usually that's acceptance criteria, 4 or 5 points. Like when I log in, I have to do this. When I do this, I like. So, but once you have a team that works together for a long time, they are more prone to be understanding shorter stories. So we don't try to put too much information on it, just that tester knows what to test in that story, developer knows what to develop, and client can approve it. So usually it's acceptance criteria and a short description. Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
First one is, could you tell me the name of the prototyping tool you use?
Yeah, that's pidoco.com. That's link number 5.
Okay. And second question is, how do you charge your clients? Is it on a sprint basis? And do you estimate the amount of or value of work in this sprint, or do you charge strictly on working hours of developers?
Okay, I'll tell you that we have found out that for clients it works a lot better and they put more trust in you once you estimate your scope and you calculate it with every sprint. So it will differ. It will not be the same for every sprint, because some issues, if we get them done from code, the client will pay for it. But if we don't get them done, it's not. But we basically estimate our cost on those 80%. That's something we give to client, and once we finish, we say, hey, we can do more work for you, and we finish all the sprint with some extra money. That's it. And there was one more question, I guess.
No.
Oh, yeah, the second question was
So
how we build them by sprint. With clients that we work for plenty of time, they already build trust in us. We have built trust in them, so we try to build them every month. But new clients, it's usually better to build them every sprint. And sometimes we even offer the program when we start a sprint, because you have to build trust somehow. We start a sprint and we say, if you don't like how we work or our speed, you don't pay for it. So it happens.
Another question?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Because I saw on your slides that in progress status have assigned to one developer more than one task. I see the icon. I think that this is the user icon, and in normal case, in my project, developer should have only one task in progress, because if he have 3 tasks or 4, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll explain that one. So usually developer starts working on something, and then he has a question for a client. We don't try to complicate our communication loop. So the question goes directly to the client or the product owner, depending who's more technical and in charge. That's why those 2 tasks that you see, they are with questions. So they are with questions, and apparently they just weren't assigned to the product owner yet. But those usually have questions, and then when they comment back, they assign it back to you and put it into the column. So that's how it works for us. So there's a small mistake, you're right.
Thank you. And second thing, I have a question about product owner, because not every client wants to be a product owner. How do you fix that? How do you react?
We assign a link product owner as someone on our team, but also you have to, of course, prepare the client that link product owner will be taking his time with questions, but also some things he will decide on his own. For example, some clients, they just don't care where the button is, for example. That's a simple example. So product owner, he just takes that responsibility that in most, I don't know, websites, the button is there because it's good for its UX design, right? So he tells to do it itself. So you have to assign the product owner, but also warns the client that, hey, this guy will be making a lot of decisions for you if you don't have time for it.
So you have it in agreement that clients know that this guy will decide about everything, and
we always give them choice. We tell them 3 options. Either you are the product owner, or you assign a product owner and pay to him, or we assign a product owner and you just pay for his services separately. But he can hire a different man from outside the organization to be the product owner.
I understand. Only one thing, it's a business conflict if product owner is inside of company who build a product, because
True. Yeah, that's a good point, but it's better to have that product owner than to have none. That's something I have learned the hard way as well. So you always have to have that guy who takes decisions and then is responsible for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
have a question about, for example, public sector projects when you have to read documentation and then give a price. How we can use this methodology?
That's a very interesting question because at some point we just decided we don't work with such. But then that's an issue where the most funding is, the biggest budgets are there, but then there's many problems. And it depends, well, our idea is those projects, they are possible to implement and to bring client to agile development, but it has to take some time as you do it. What we offer for such projects that we don't estimate for more than 1 month. So usually we have enough experience to estimate any Drupal system for 1 month of work and to do it accurately. And then we say, okay, in 1 month we will deliver you this, this, and this. We fix that scope. We don't allow any changes along the way. And once we deliver it, we try to tell them, see, those you wanted to change here, but it just doesn't work in fixed price. Like, you try to bring them into agile development gradually. So that's what we do, but I can't tell you that we are professionals doing that right now. Because sometimes they just want to build a system a year ahead and pay nothing or like know their budget for 1 year of development.
Because I see the problem here, because in public sector we have to read documentation, give a price, and the cheapest ones win.
Well, there are only 2 options. Either you have enough experience to estimate year, like for 6 months ahead. That's when you build the very similar system. Either you offer to build something that you know you will build in 6 months, for example, or you try to bring them. We try to bring them into that agile development after that 1 month of work, because we just learned the hard way. It's more expensive for us to commit to fixed price projects than refuse them.
Any other question?
Nope.
Okay. So, thank you.
Okay, guys. You can find that. Oh, sorry. I'll show you a link for SlideShare. If you want to find it, then you can do it. Oh, my response. Yeah, here's the one. Small